Hey everyone, it's Erik from Mad A Productions, and today we're going to be taking a look at a PlayStation 2 game. I was looking back at all the videos I've done so far and realized we hadn't done one on a PlayStation 2 game yet, so I started looking at my collection and was thinking about Working Designs games and realized they did a really awesome shooter on the PlayStation 2. So we're going to be looking at Silpheed, The Lost Planet on the PlayStation 2. Alright, so here's Silpheed, The Lost Planet on the PlayStation 2. And if you're not familiar, this is a sequel to the game Silpheed, which was on the Sega CD, and it was actually also available on DOS PCs, published by Sierra. That's kind of a little known fact, but this is the sequel on the PlayStation 2, Silpheed, The Lost Planet. And one of the first important things to notice is these three logos down here in the bottom. We've got the Working Designs logo we discussed earlier, but also gamearts was involved, and it was developed by Treasure. So with those three logos, gamearts, Treasure, and Working Designs, you know this is going to be a sweet-ass game. And you've got to love games published by Working Designs. I love the packaging on them here. It's got kind of a foily, shiny kind of finish to it, not like a normal PlayStation 2 game. So it tells you you've got something special here. You've got a Working Designs game. That's a special thing. When we open it up, it's one of the older style cases, which is cool. So it's got the place there for the PlayStation 2 memory card. And then you've got the disc, and then you've got a game manual. Again, got that kind of glossy, metallic, shiny finish to it. And then it's not very long. It's not a very long manual, very thick at all. But not really necessary for a shooter though. But it's nice. It's high quality. It's thick. It's full color. Nice thick pages. So all in all, that's cool to have too. A nice looking manual. Like I said, you gotta love the Working Designs published games. They always look great. And then a lot of times they have these translation notes here, which is always cool. I just love Working Designs stuff, and to have a Treasure developed shooter that was brought over to the United States by Working Designs, that's just awesome. Let's take a look at some of the gameplay.
Alright, so here's the title screen. And then it has you put in a code name, so we're going to put in Mad Ape. And then after that, it gives you a little mission briefing for each mission. Basically, the gist of the storyline is that some bad aliens have showed up at a human colony, and you've got to kick their ass. Holy shit, is that a lot of random numbers and gibberish you just spit out. This game is just chock full of like hokey sci-fi references and stuff, and just stuff that doesn't make any sense, really, to be honest with you. So a lot of times I just skip these mission briefings because they're not important to the game. I like to get right to the action with my shooters.
Begin mounting your weapons now.
Now, one of the interesting features of Silpheed is that you select two weapons, a left weapon and a right weapon. And you can fire those simultaneously, or there's a fire button for each if you want to fire them individually. Now, at first glance, this just looks like your standard vertical shooter. But because the way the backgrounds are handled and the way it kind of pans and zooms in on the ship and stuff, it kind of gives it more of a on-rails shooter and vertical shooter hybrid. It's kind of cool. The graphics are pretty impressive. Now, I'm sure you'll also notice those multipliers that are popping up, those times 2, times 4, times 8, times 16. And this being a Treasure shooter, there's of course a scoring gimmick, and what those are is the closer proximity you are to a ship when you destroy it, the higher that multiplier will be. So that's how you really rack up points in this game, is getting up close and personal when you're destroying things. You'll notice when I'm fighting a lot of enemies and a lot of bosses, I get right up in their grill for maximum score. Something else you notice, that thankfully in this game it's not a one-hit kill game. You do have shields, which you can set to be either 10 shields per ship or 5, depending on what you set in the game settings when you start. I usually start with 10, because this game can get really crazy. You can see it gets a little on the bullet hellish side. Not really, but you know, for an old geezer like me, a little on the bullet hellish side. So it's nice that you're not just destroyed in one hit, that you do have a couple of shots, which again really helps you get up close and personal to some of those enemies and really fight them. Some levels also have a refueling section like this, kind of like Afterburner, where it's really what it does is you get your shields recharged, and then you can have the option to change your weapons if you'd like. Now you notice you only start with 2 weapons, the Vulcan, which just shoots straight forward, and then the V-Vulcan, which is that shot that you see coming out at an angle in a V. And here we see more of that kind of panning and stuff, and the way the background is handled kind of gives it more of an on-rail feel than just a vanilla vertical shooter, which I like. It really immerses me in it. I like the big, visually stunning set pieces that this game does, things like that, like the big alien crashing through the wall, kind of foreboding. You got to know you're going to fight that thing eventually since you're chasing after it. And I like these rotating pieces of debris with the enemies on only certain sides, just lots of cool stuff going on. I'm a big fan of vertical shooters, and this has become one of my favorites. I really enjoy this game. It really is a hidden gem on the PlayStation 2. Attack and destroy, as opposed to like attack and kind of hurt it, attack and slap it around a little bit. I do find some of the dialogue in this game unnecessary. That's probably one of my chief complaints with this game, is some of the dialogue is kind of hokey and the voice acting is a little goofy, and the constant radio chatter is a little annoying too, and it's even hard to hear, so I'm not sure why it's there. I could do without that. But otherwise, this is a really amazing shooter. You can see the difficulty's really ramped up with this boss. And that's something else you may have noticed too, is there's a lot of like mini boss fights with little sections in between with waves of enemies and then a big boss at the end. That's kind of a treasure thing, to have more of a focus on mini boss battles and less of a focus on the wings of enemies coming at you. So if you like, boss battles, this is another shooter that I think you'll really enjoy.
Begin mounting your weapons now.
Now at the end of each level you unlock different weapons depending on what your score was, and you can see here I've unlocked the optical laser and a napalm bomb weapon, but I'm not going to use the napalm bomb weapon. I don't like it that much, so I usually pass on using it. Like I said earlier though, this is an awesome game. If you're a fan of Silpheed on the Sega CD, or if you're one of these 17 people that played it on the PC, I would definitely recommend this game. If you're into shooters, I would definitely recommend this game. And if you're into working designs games, I would definitely recommend this game. There's tons of different reasons to own it. Something else interesting about it, and another reason to own it, is it being a working designs game. This was originally a Japanese game that was localized for the English market. There were some issues in the Japanese version that Working Designs actually fixed. Things like there was slowdown originally in it. I guess a lot of that's been removed and fixed. Also, support was added for the analog thumbstick. They added analog support. That wasn't originally available in the Japanese version. So, just yet another reason to own this game. Now, this game is still pretty affordable. We all know PlayStation 2 games are usually a few dollars, and this game is not a few dollars. It actually goes for about $15 to $20 complete, which, again, is still cheap for a good game, but not for PlayStation 2 games. But it's definitely worth the $20. Again, it being a working designs game, the packaging is amazing, the manual is really cool, the game itself is awesome, so it's definitely worth the money. Even if you have to end up forking out, the full $20 for it, I'd say it's worth it. Anyways, this has been my review of Silpheed: The Lost Planet on the PlayStation 2. I'm going to keep playing this kick-ass shooter, and thanks again for watching. Hey, if you like what you saw, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also check us out at the social media links below. And also, if you got a few more minutes, why don't you check out one of these other videos? And as always, thanks again for watching.